Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. I'm Mom, or Kay, from Millennial Mom, and today I'm talking about Love After Lockup, Season 4, Episode 13, Partners in Crime. Now I know I said that Millennial will be joining us for the video this week. Well, with different work schedules, we'll have to catch her another time. So let's get into the video. Alright, so let's start with Deontay and Lindsay. So Deontay and Lindsay are finally spending time alone together, and they're on their way to get the weekend started. And here comes Blaine telling Lindsay, hey, have a good time, or you both have a good time, and here's some boots. She's like, boots for me? Oh, thank you so much. See, the look on Deontay's face is one of, why are you giving my girl boots? You know, Deontay is still insecure from his relationship in general from last season. You know, he spent a lot of time with women who happen to be in prison, so they along the way have become untrustworthy, and I can see why he's uncomfortable, because technically I would be too. So while they're driving, Deontay asks Lindsay, so what's up with you and Blaine? And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, so you two stay together? There's never been like a drunken night where maybe someone gets comfortable going to each other's bed, something like that? She's like, no, after 8 years, why would I? And he tells her again, listen, I wouldn't be asking if I wasn't feeling something for you. You know, I'm uncomfortable with this situation, and you know, my track record isn't the best, is what he was trying to get at. Lindsay's telling him no, he's just a friend, you know, been there for her all these years, and that's not something she would do. I don't think that she's really interested in him, but I do think in a way that Blaine is interested in Lindsay. But also while they're driving, one thing that Lindsay does is drops a bombshell on Deontay, telling him that, well, you know what? I have warrants. She needs to bail her friend TC out of jail. And I thought TC was already being bonded out of jail by someone else that she called, and you know, one of those 10 friends that they was making phone calls to, since no one had a legit license. Well, we see a quick scene where the friend meets up with Lindsay and gives her money back, because apparently, I don't know what happened, but TC is still in jail. And Deontay is looking at her like, you want me to do what? I mean, you know what? If it was me as well, I would have did a lot of questioning. Like, I would have had to like pull that car over, or we would have stopped to go to a restaurant to find out what is really going on. Like, how come you didn't tell me? Well, then again, maybe you can't have those type of conversations about the warrants on the phone in the prison. But I mean, when you called me to tell me you were out, I think that's something that, you know, I should have known before, I meaning Deontay, before he even left the house. Lindsay talks him into getting that bond taken care of. But Deontay is like, you know what? I can see if it was Miley Grace, Lindsay's daughter, or you know, I wouldn't have a problem bailing you out. But he's like, why you still hang out with these friends? She says, well, we've known each other pretty much since we were diapers. I just can't leave them in there. So Deontay takes Lindsay to a gas station, because that's where she wants to be dropped off at, because Lindsay has warrants and she's not trying to be anywhere near a police station. He goes in and he tries to bail out the person in cash, and finds out that TC is no longer at that prison. He has been moved somewhere else. So he calls Lindsay, he's like, so what do you want me to do? And she's like, come pick me up. And once Deontay picks her up, she's like, well, there's no sense in bailing him out just to bail him out again in another prison, because, you know, like, that doesn't make sense. So, but one of the things that Deontay says in confessional is like, you know, for all the trouble that he went through, he said that he's gonna be breaking Lindsay's back out tonight. I was like, Deontay, that is not a reward for doing the things that you were talked into doing. So now we have Kevin, Tiffany, and Kayla. So Kevin comes back home from work and he sees a note laying on the bed along with the key from Tiffany saying, I don't know who these are. I know they're not yours. Here's your key. Until you could be trustworthy, I'm not coming back. So Kevin is calling Tiffany, and you know what? Here's the thing. Even before he calls Tiffany, Kevin has always tried to convince Kayla, Tiffany, and us, the viewer, that he's not doing nothing wrong. Like, pretty much like, why can't he have his cake and eat it too? See, Kevin is a manipulator. He's been manipulating the situation with Kayla for a long time. But with Tiffany, I think she might be, you know, kind of like on his level, or trying to call him out for his dirt that he's trying to do, because she's seen through the lines with what he's trying to do or what he's trying to say. So anyways, when Kevin calls her, he's like, so whose pennies are these? Like, why'd you leave my key? And Tiffany's like, what you mean? They're not mine. And Kevin's like, oh, nonchalant, well, they're not mine. And I'm thinking, Kevin, you know that she knows that those aren't her panties. You know that, right? So why try to convince her? I mean, that would be a little much for her to be like, oh, these are mine. You just moved her in there not that long ago. In Kevin's confessional, the producer said, so whose panties are there? He's like, I don't know. I don't know whose they are, with a smirk. And guess what? He truly may not know. And the producers also asked, well, do you have anything to hide? And he smirks. He's like, no, I don't have nothing to hide. Just the smirk and the no. We know you do. So the thing is, do you have something to hide that Tiffany don't know? Because see, low key, Tiffany already knows that he is still talking to Kayla, or has been talking to Kayla, or whoever he's talking to. She knows that deep down. Tiffany and Kevin keep talking. Tiffany said, you know what? I just need time to cool off before I come back, and you need to get your stuff together. Kevin's like, well, don't cool off too long, or don't get too cold. I was like, he got his nerve, don't get too cold. It's already cold in there, Kevin. It's cold because you made it cold and you trying to pretend like you don't know what's up. Speaking of Kayla, in the next scene, we see Kevin coming back to his house, and sitting outside the house again is Kayla. And what does Kevin say? Oh, Lord, here she is. I wonder what she wants. I hope there's no drama. Every time we have seen Kayla, whether we've seen her in person or where we've heard her on the phone, Kayla has always brought the drama, brought the noise, because, listen, Kayla thinks, feels, or whatever, that Kevin is her man. Because they can't even get in the house good when the conversation goes left. Because Kayla immediately went to 1,000, talking about, you still with this B? What you doing with her on Tinder? I saw you on Tinder. But see, while she was saying that, I'm like, well, what was you doing on Tinder, Kayla? And it can't be, but then again, it could be. If Kevin was on Tinder with you, and you just so happen to see him on Tinder, because why would Kevin give Tiffany a key, wanting him to trust her, when he knows that you come by whenever, unannounced anyways? Even Kevin's friends know this. So I don't know what Kevin was trying to do in the moment, but here we go again with Kevin. He's like, talking in a calm tone. It's still sarcastic a little bit, like, you need to calm down. I don't know what you're talking about. Kayla's like, yes, you do. What you mean? He's like, we don't even see each other like that. We don't even kick it like that. Kayla's like, what? We sleep together just about every day. Kevin, how? How can you sleep with Kayla every day? As much as you talk about her with your friends, calling her crazy KK, and you still sleeping and leading this girl on every day? Because as Kayla said, I know you have other B's out there you talking to, but I'm the main B. I've been here a long time. See, Kevin is playing too many games. He's playing way too many games with both these people, but especially Kayla, who is a wild card. So moving on to Branwen and Chaz. Before Chaz goes back home from his birthday trip, Branwen and her friends take him to a strip club. And Branwen was like, it's going to be fun to get out, to get Chaz loosened up. I think Chaz knows that there's something going on with Branwen. I think he feels like there's a disconnect somehow. And he's right. But Branwen doesn't want to say, because Branwen, I think she's trying to go with the flow and she's trying to do things differently. But I don't think her mind and her heart match up to where it is when it comes to Chaz. I think she definitely wants a different lifestyle, but I don't think Chaz is the man for her, honestly. I don't think so. And I feel that Branwen knows this and Chaz knows this, but Chaz has been married 5 times, and I think he feels he hit the jackpot with Branwen. Well, at the strip club, they're drinking and everything, and Branwen pays for a lap dance for Chaz. And I think, and even Chaz mentions it too, I think that Branwen was doing it like to get the edge off, really. Because Chaz, all he talks about with Branwen is, having been with my wife intimately, things like that. So I don't even think they consummated their marriage. And that's definitely what Chaz wants, because Chaz is sexually attracted to her. So while Chaz is getting the lap dance, I mean, it was like awkward conversation. He was asking a stripper like, so where are you from? How you doing? I don't know if that's normal or not. But after the lap dance is over, he comes back to the table and Brent was like, ooh, did you enjoy it? He's like, yeah, best birthday ever. I'm like, even I wasn't falling for it. But then they're gearing up to leave, and Brendan's friend asked Chaz, can I talk to you? So they go outside and they talk, and she was pretty much telling him, listen, Brendan has a life here. Her daughter's here, her school is here, her work's here, everything, her friends are here. Everything she's trying to do is here. And I feel if she goes back to Kentucky with you, she's not gonna be happy. And Chaz says, you know, I know her friends in the school and her daughter is here, but you know, I am willing and wanting to take care of her, take care of her needs, give her exactly what she wants, and just, you know, create a happy life with her. And the friend says to him, so what if it doesn't work out? And Chaz says, well, I guess the marriage will be over. So then we see Brenwyn and Chaz on the way home, and he's talking to her, not word for word the conversation with the friend, but just in general what the friend was talking about. Brenwyn said, yes, you know, I'm bogged down and I'm just trying to get everything together. But while she was talking, she really seemed like she was zoned out. I mean, maybe she was tired, but I just think the stress is coming at her full force and she really doesn't know what to do or really how to get out the situation. But I do think that she feels Chaz is good for her and could give her the things that she needs financially versus emotionally. So moving to Puppy and Amber, we have Puppy and Eric going to a divorce lawyer because see, Puppy wants to get things right with Eric. She wants to marry Eric. She wants to know that Eric's ex is out the picture and she wants to move forward. So they go talk to a lawyer, and Eric seems to be dragging his feet. He says it's a life-altering situation. And it is. A divorce is a life-altering situation, you know. And the lawyer's saying what needs to be done about papers getting served and the costs, and also how long the divorce could take if the ex, you know, would be dragging her feet. And then Puppy asked Eric, is this what he wants to do? And he's like, mm-hmm. See, all his answers are like, mm-hmm. They're not firm like yes or no. And Puppy can feel that Eric is really not telling her the whole truth. Puppy's bottom line is she wants to be happy. That's all she wants, to be happy. But Eric says this in front of Puppy and the lawyer. He says that it's going to be stressful to get this divorce because he's known Heather, his ex, for many years. She was there when he was down and out. She was there for him at his lowest point in his life. And Puppy was just like looking at him. But I don't think Eric is ready to break those ties with Heather, if he's even broken them with her, because like I said, he's given so many answers like with the they're not straight answers. So as Puppy and Eric are leaving, Puppy asked Eric point blank, do you still love her? Her meaning Heather. And he's like, you know, I don't really know, or some kind of answer. She said, yes or no. I said, there you go, Puppy, getting assertive, yes or no. And Eric said, I said no. And she said, no, you didn't. Eric, no, you didn't. You said something to the effect like, you don't really know. And to me, Puppy, that was your answer. And then also later on in the episode, we see Puppy go talk to her mom about what happened at the divorce lawyers. And her mom is saying to Puppy, listen, you don't have to ask a man, or you shouldn't have to ask a man if he loves you or in love you, wants to be with you. You should know it should be a partnership. You want to know if you love him, he loves you. She said, because all the years I was with your dad, I never questioned if he loved me or not. It was true love. And the look on Puppy's face, she just looks so sad. And then another thing that Puppy said was, yeah, that's the way that I love Amber, and it's hard to let people go like that. And I always knew that Puppy loved Amber more than Amber loved her. When we see Amber, okay, Amber's on a date with her boyfriend, TC. Her boyfriend has never been to prison, and he's never done drugs of any kind. And she thinks he's the one, and if he asked her to marry him, she would say yes. I think that's good for Amber, that she's found a relationship that she feels comfortable in and feel loved in. TC seems to feel the same way about her too. And it was interesting how they met. They met at a concert. He said he had put his hand out, I don't know for what, and she grabbed his hand and he just twirled her around. So I guess they were dancing all night at the concert. So that's how they met. They've been together ever since. And then while Amber was telling him about how her mom and dad's vow renewal went, she was saying, dang, my mom looks good for 54. And she goes, I hope I do too. And then Amber says, can you imagine me with you, or you with me, or us together at 54? And he said, yeah. Before, I couldn't see a life before anymore, getting married or being in a relationship. But with you, I see all those things. I said, okay, Amber, you may have a good one right here. So after the date, they're outside before they go wherever they're gonna go. Amber's phone rings. And Amber answers, she's like, hey, wifey. And it's Puppy. She's talking to Puppy, and Puppy's saying how she wasn't necessarily feeling good. And Amber's like, well, I'm on a date right now. Maybe we go shopping tomorrow. So Puppy agrees. And then when Amber hangs up the phone, TC was like, wifey? He was like, no, like, we're not doing that. I'm the only one who calls you wifey. And I'm like, oh, see, that was Eric's problem, thinking that Puppy and Amber were a little bit too close. So we'll have to see what TC says as this relationship goes along. To Taylor and Chance, they're at the park celebrating Easter, and also for a chance to meet Taylor's parents. Chance is dressed as the Easter Bunny, and Taylor says, isn't that weird that you're dressed in costume to meet my parents? And I'm thinking, yeah, kinda. But then when the parents come up, her dad and her stepmom, he takes the Easter Bunny costume off, well, the head part of it off. I'm thinking, wasn't that the point of being the Easter Bunny for Taylor's girls? Then you might as well just be yourself, but okay. So while the girls go Easter egg hunting, Chance breaks the ice with Taylor's dad and her stepmom. Dad says, so what do you do for a living? And Chance's answer was, I'm a part-time sex machine and a full-time sex slave. Let that sink in for a minute. So then the dad says, so what were you in for? Then Chance says, I robbed a bank. I took some Xanax. I did 8 years. And I'm allergic to drugs because every time I take them, I wake up in handcuffs. Let that soak in again. I'm like, you really thought, Chance, that this was an icebreaker? Because see, if it was me, conversation over. But when we learned the dynamics of Taylor's family, maybe it was an icebreaker for them because, one, they didn't seem to flinch. Well, it turns out that Taylor didn't tell her dad that Bobby, who's named after the dad, I'm guessing because his name Bobby, was in a halfway house. And also turns out that Taylor's dad and her stepmom don't get along with Bobby. They apparently had substance abuse in the past before. They all used to live together, and her dad said that at one point in time when Bobby OD'd on drugs, he told the police or hospital, whoever, that the next time she does it, don't call me again until she's dead. I'm like, wow, it's like that. And then Taylor says that when they all lived together before, they called the police to her house to do a welfare check on Bobby, hoping that Bobby had warrants so they can take her back to jail. And then Taylor said after that, she packed up her dad and her stepmom and moved them out of her house. So see, there is a big dynamic when it comes to substance abuse, and the dysfunction that's come with it is through the roof with this. Taylor says that she feels in the middle, like she's placed in the middle with everybody. Then Chance pipes up and says, you know, he wants to be there for Bobby. He wants to, you know, help her get on the straight and narrow path because he's been there before. He's also OD'd before, so he knows, you know, what's going on with her when it comes to a possible relapse. And wow, I was just blown away by the dynamic. But then also too, while they're talking, the dad towards the end of the conversation said, well, you know, I love my 2 girls and I would do anything for them. And I'm thinking, but sir, you just said if she OD'd again, or don't call me till she's dead. I'm like, because that is really a tough thing to say. I know there's such a thing called tough love, but when you say something like that and you're on substance abuse things as well and all the dysfunction going on, I just don't even know what else to say with that. So the next day we see Chance pulling up to the house with a brand new pickup truck. And he said, this is a surprise for Taylor and the girls. And so Taylor comes out and he's like, surprise. She's like, oh, a surprise, where'd you get this? How much is it? And he was telling her how much it costs and what the payments were and the rims and all that stuff. And he was breaking down the total amount of payments. She's like, yay, new bills. And I could feel Taylor with that. Listen, he just got out of prison not that long ago. You're trying to build up the garage for somewhere for Bobby to live. We learned that Bobby was the babysitter, so now they don't have a babysitter, and that's an extra expense for them to find somebody. And you're bringing this truck in, something that we can't afford. But the thing that Chance says is like, you know what? We need this. And I'll do whatever it takes. I'll juggle the bills. He goes, that's what everyone does. You take out loans to pay bills, you pay it back slowly. And Bobby's like, listen, we got to get this house together. You know, think about marriage is everything. And Chance is not thinking about that. He wants to do what he wants to do. Even in confessional, Taylor said, you know, I think he's buying all these things because he was in prison for so long, so he's missed out. But I agree with Taylor. He does need to talk to you before he makes a purchase. And I thought he couldn't work right now because his license was suspended or revoked or something when he came out of prison. Because the last thing I remember, he was looking on the computer and mad at you, Taylor, because the DMV had restricted his license to work. So I don't know when he started working. If he does now, I guess that's a good thing. Last but not least, we have Sean, Sarah, and we're going to add in Destiny and Kelly. So we see Destiny. She is on the way to Ohio to see Sean and his wedding. She says Sean owes her money. She wants her money. Now, I thought it was $10,000 last week, but this week it's been bumped up to $50,000. She says Sean promised her a $25,000 car, a $10,000 ring, and some other money for some incidentals. Leave it to Destiny. She has added up everything she feels Sean has owed from the time she was in prison till out of prison, to marrying Josh, to back out of prison. She wants her cash, and she wants it now. She is determined to crash Sean's wedding. She said he was there for all my court dates, so I'm going to be there for his wedding date. She said since he can't keep his word, I guess for him to keep his word for his wedding, I'm going to keep mine too. I'm a crasher. I was like, oh my goodness, that is going to be the wedding of the season. Because if Destiny does show up in time to crash that wedding, what would Sean say? What would Sean do? But see, Sean can talk his way out of things. He is manipulating his way through Kelly and Sarah. He's good at saying what he needs to say to get things done. And then we have Kelly. She's at the airport on her way to Ohio, or I think she's landing in Ohio with her oldest daughter, Gracie, and a family friend. And Gracie, we've seen her before in previous seasons where Sean promised to be around her and her other siblings more, and he didn't hold up to his bargain, and she was really hurt that she felt that Sean was putting Destiny before her and her brothers and sisters and her mom as well. Well, she says she's an adult now, Gracie, and she's here to see who her dad is marrying and to meet and talk to Sarah. So Sean wanted his children at the wedding, and so far Gracie's there, and I'm not sure if his son Brandon's there because Brandon is in the army, I believe, so I'm not sure if he's left already, but I think he's supposed to be in the wedding. And then Kelly and a family friend. So that's 2 children and your children's mom and their mother's friend. That's going to be at the wedding. All right. So then we have Sean and Sarah. Sean is packing up his things because they're spending the night away from each other, trying to do a traditional thing like spending the night away the day before the wedding to, I don't know, keep things fresh. Because Sarah said nothing they've done so far has been traditional, so hopefully this is it. So Sean asked Sarah, so you going to show up tomorrow? She goes, are you? He's like, yeah, of course I'll be there. And then producer showed scenes where he's outside talking to Destiny, and I believe he's talking to Kelly. So these are things that Sarah don't know. Next thing you know, we see footsteps. And those footsteps leads us to the front desk of the hotel. And it's Destiny with her bags. And she asks for Sean's room, and the person says what room he's in. She gets in the elevator on the way. Right after that, we see footsteps, and it's Kelly. She bypasses the front desk and goes to the elevator. And then we have a quick scene of Destiny knocking on the door at the hotel room. Sean opens the door, so we're not sure if it's Destiny gets there first or Kelly gets there first. But either way, they're both there for the wedding, and Sean seems like he don't know that, one, Kelly's coming, or two, that Destiny's coming. But I think deep down he's hoping Destiny's not going to be there. All hope out the window. So that was the end of Love After Lockup. I hope we see the wedding next week with Sean and Sarah to see if Destiny really comes and says something at the wedding to crash it, or what's going to happen, because Kelly should really be there in support of Sean with her daughter Gracie and the family friends. So I don't think that Kelly would keep up too much noise at the wedding. And next week, hopefully, we'll get a glimpse of Brittany and Marcelino and Brittany and Ray to see what they've been up to. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.